Hey everyone, I'm TJB Chris. Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. And tonight you can see I've got the mission control setup going here again, and that's because we have not one, not two, not even three, but wait, there's more, there's 4 videos at least coming up as I do my new series exploring 513, a look at the Memorex VIS. The VIS actually has a fair amount of coverage on YouTube. You can go find it, it's elsewhere on the internet. Most of that coverage varies in degree of accuracy. All tends to come to the same conclusion that it wasn't the greatest. So in this series, I'm actually going to take a look at what the VIS actually was. I'm going to take a look at what it's capable of, and we're going to do something that's never been done before. No one's done before me, and we're going to dive into the system. What makes it work? What makes it like other platforms? What makes it different? What it was, how it did, everything that is VIS. And I'm hoping you'll find in this series that the VIS is a more interesting platform than you might be led to believe by other content out there, and certainly just by looking at it on the surface. So tonight, I'm going to talk to you a bit about the VIS. We're going to take a look at what it was, some basic hardware specs, and just a general look at some VIS software. We'll have some demos for you. And then in the subsequent videos in this series, I'm going to dive into VIS. We're going to talk about licensing. We're going to talk about the entire scheme for getting access to the VIS, developer resources, and then we're going to start to write code that runs on the VIS itself. And finally, we're going to dive into some of the mechanisms for saving and storing data and how this machine kind of stood up to its competition. Well, okay, or was supposed to. So what is it about the VIS that interests me? Why am I looking at a niche platform that's dead now and was certainly dead not long after it was released? Well, the VIS interests me for 2 reasons. One, having come out in 1992, it is one of 3 main events or happenings in my mind that happened in 1992 that directly led to Tandy's exit of the computer business in 1993. And we'll take a look at more on that throughout the series, but I really do think that the VIS deserves a place in Tandy history, if not for its role in Tandy's exiting from computer history. The second is that this platform is very strongly based on another very common platform at the time, and that platform is not usually associated with having a security layer, but the VIS has a security layer and a licensing model that is meant to keep unauthorized code out. So it is kind of worth a delve into, and more recently I've come into possession of some documentation and tooling that has allowed me to kind of look under the hood, so to speak, and for the first time since 1993 run new code on this platform. I thought it was worth exploring, and I thought it was worth sharing with you over the next few videos. So, with all that in mind, what exactly was the VIS? VIS made its debut in the fall of 1992, showing up in Radio Shack stores right around Thanksgiving or so. What, TJB Chris? You're saying to yourself if you're a real Radio Shack aficionado. If it had come out in the fall of 1992, it would have been in the 1993 catalog. After all, the 1993 catalog, like this one, came out in the summer of 1992. And you'd be right. The catalog did come out in the summer of 1992, but let's take a look through the 1993 catalog. We'll start with the index here in the back, and if I look in the back and I look under V for video, there's no video information system. Now, being half computer, half video component, you might think to yourself, well, it could be in the computers. Let's take a look there, flipping back through the pages, there's sensation. Oh, there's my 4833 LXT and the 4850 EP, which is related to the 4825 SX behind me. We've got the 1000 RSX, which is not really a Tandy 1000. 2500 SX25, bunch of monitors. Okay, clearly not here. Let's go down to video. Okay, let's look over in, oh, here we go. We got VCRs. Okay, nope, there's headphones. Next page. So we got some VCRs here. We've got, ooh, the Model 91. I owned one of those once on the top of page 53. And flipping through, we've got movie quarters, as Radio Shack called camcorders, now branded Memorex because realistic wasn't cool anymore. And the same with a bunch of televisions and other great things. We've got a satellite receiver, remotes, continuing to flip the pages. We've got the usual Radio Shack video cool stuff. You know, distribution systems, surround amplifiers, all sorts of cool stuff, cable converters and videotapes. No VIS. Well, that's because the VIS didn't show up in the 93 catalog, at least not this original version that I've got in front of me, and not one that I've seen, and not the one on RadioShackCatalogs.com, if you happen to go look there. It showed up during the Thanksgiving time frame in sales flyers all over the place, and when you take a look at the sales flyer, you're going to get a pretty good idea of where this system was targeted. New, the Video Information System, for only $699.95. It's television for developing minds. This right here will establish its cool factor with anyone my age, you know, in my teens, already owning a Super Nintendo, when they look at this. Explore a world of education, first word always bad, information, and entertainment. And it is a fun, interactive learning experience for the whole family. And then we have a bunch of copy that goes on to extol the virtues of multimedia for your television without having to own a computer, with incredible sights and sounds. With all these great advancements, the VIS will transform your television into a powerful vehicle for exploration. So if there's one thing to be gleaned from this marketing copy, it is that this is a system for edutainment, for young minds, and not so much for older children or adults, although it can be fun and reference for the whole family. And immediately the cool factor goes out. Again, I was in my early teens when this came out. I was interested in it because Radio Shack made it, and it was kind of like multimedia for your TV when CD-ROM drives weren't common in your house. But it was kind of, the software library wasn't exactly turning me on. There was no way I was going to be able to afford that. I mean, $699.95. Now, I will point out, before we continue to dive into the VIS, that it did come out around the same time as the Tandy Sensation, the first Sensation. I believe that's 251650 for the catalog number, but don't quote me on that. But anyway, I mean the Sensation one with the Push Me You Pull CD-ROM drive, not the revision that came out a year later. And we'll see some similarities and some other reasons why I'm going to say that later in the series. Why listen to me extol the virtues of VIS as it was in 1992 when I can let VIS tell you?
Hey! Oh, I wonder how I'm going to get out of here. Is there anyone out there? Let me out of here! Oh, they said they wanted a cagey owl, but this is for the birds. Hey, you can help me. Just push a button on the controller, and not only do I get to fly the coop, but you'll see something that's truly new and amazing. VIS, the Video Information System. I got you thinking now, don't I? Come on, give a hoot. Push a button. I know you want to. Hooty hoot, hoot. Oh, all right. Come fly with me. I'm free. Oh, thank you. Yahoo! All right, Pilgrim, let me lasso this here controller. And we can get a few things straight. Now, partner, if you'd like to see demonstrations of titles available for VIS, just push this here button 3 at any time during this little powwow. For more information on VIS, push button 4, or just hold on to your hat, because that's where we're headed now, Yahoo. Yaha.
Welcome to the new age of information. VIS, the Video Information System. Just connect VIS to any TV in your home and get ready to visit faraway worlds. Go back to a time when dinosaurs ruled. Or just plan your family's next vacation. VIS also comes with Compton's Multimedia Encyclopedia, a world of knowledge that truly comes alive through sight and sound. VIS.
As a sophisticated culture, we realize that education is the key to our future, but VIS can also take you back in time. Back to time when big dinosaur ruled.
What do you want to do with VIS today? I don't know. Maybe we could...
Handsome devil.
Wow! What is that? A patasaurus. Looks more like a dorkosaurus to me. Gosh, he's big. What's his name? Kidnus Eater-Uppus! Let's get out of here!
Wow, that was close. You know, there's a multitude of titles available for VIS. Just think of the possibilities. There's home productivity, games, education.
Oh, hey, man, VIS will make a new person.
Practically anything you can think of, VIS can deliver.
VIS provides you with the ultimate in fun, learning, and information with over 120 exciting titles available at the touch of a button. From a complete encyclopedia to the latest in interactive games, VIS offers the largest selection of titles to be enjoyed by your entire family anytime. VIS makes learning fun.
I love VIS in the springtime. Oh, what a talent! Just think with your VIS, you can view wonderful images like mine. Oui, oui. Using the latest technologies, VIS can make images, photographs, and animation come to life using over 16 million available colors. VIS, more colors, better quality, more fun.
So at this point in the video, before we continue diving into the VIS and really get into some demonstration and some more detailed information about it, this is where I'd like to take a moment and acknowledge some folks who, without their support, their forethought, this project and the deep dive you're about to see in the coming videos would not be a thing. First and foremost is Tandy Showcase, who runs the website tandyvis.com. You need to check this out. It is home to a lot of great information, a gallery of pictures for the VIS itself, media links, catalog images, pre-developer conference materials, even a QA walkthrough for the game King's Quest V, which never actually made it out before Tandy stopped putting titles out for the thing. Apparently it got far enough along to have a QA walkthrough so they could beat it and approve the release, but it never did show up. Either way, tandyvis.com also has SDK programming manuals and all sorts of other great information, and I highly recommend you check that out. And speaking of tandyvis.com, Tandy Showcase has a number of other websites. Visit tandyshowcase.com. I'll have links in the video description, and a number of satellite sites related to all sorts of things acquired and preserved and shared to the community via these satellite websites. So please check those out, especially tandyvis.com. And as it relates to Tandy Showcase, I'd also like to personally thank Tandy Showcase, who has been very supportive, enthusiastic, and provided me with a fair amount of material, as we'll see, and also some loanouts that you'll probably run into throughout these videos that have allowed me to explore the VIS and really kind of unlock what has so far been a closed-off platform. So hats off to Tandy VIS. I don't have an adult beverage, or I'd cheers. But you should definitely check that out. And I imagine as more is uncovered and some of this documentation and other resources you're going to see in my videos comes to the community, you'll probably find a fair amount of it, or at least reference to it there. Speaking of which, there is a fair amount of software and documentation that has been shared with me that is not publicly available yet. And the plan is to release it, but clearly we've got to weed out some stuff that could give us some copyright trouble. There's discussions in the community. Where that will land, I don't know. Some may land in kind of incidentally in my projects. Some may land on Tandy VIS. We may find someplace more central. When that is out, you'll learn about it on these videos, and I would encourage you to keep an eye on tandyvis.com because I know it'll get covered there. There is also a Facebook group for the Memorex VIS should you wish to check it out. Two more people I would be remiss without mentioning. One is the late software engineer Frank Dirtifor. Frank Dirtifor, if you look through old Usenet posts, you'll see him with a lot of commentary and such about a lot of things Tandy. The VIS was one about which he commented a lot. Now, like many things when I'm reading someone's opinion or commentary or perspective, I tend to take it with a grain of salt, but in that commentary is a lot of good factual information. And Frank had the forethought way back in the day to preserve materials from a lot of the projects he worked on over the years. He even ran a website. His plan was, according to some Usenet posts, to release some of this information, some of these utilities, but he sadly did not get there. He passed before that could happen. The other is the late Paul Schreiber, who also was an engineer on this and spoke at Tandy Assembly at length about the VIS in 2019. And you will find that video on Tandy Assembly's site. There's a video on YouTube. Go here. There was a lot of generosity, a lot of things worked right, and a lot of people had the forethought to preserve things that they may not have necessarily had a use for. I've never felt the desire to preserve anything in my job. So it's pretty cool that all this was out there and that we now get to play with it in the retrospective light. Okay, so that's the thank you portion of our show. With that in mind, let's get into what the VIS actually is. Let's take a closer look at the VIS. Looking at the front of the VIS, you'll see there's not a whole lot to it. It looks like a piece of AV equipment, and that's by design. It even has those faux feet under the bottom of it. It's only got 2 buttons on the front. It's got an open-close button and a power button, and of course it's got the CD-ROM tray, and then underneath the little power button is a little door that flips up, and there you can find a headphone jack, a microphone jack, and a slot for a Save It card, much like a PlayStation memory card, at least in theory. Taking a look at some of the accessories available for the VIS, well, the VIS itself came with an aforementioned Save It card and a wireless infrared hand controller. Additional wireless infrared hand controllers were available from Radio Shack. You can see here I've got 2 with 2 different colors of buttons in their original packaging. Neat. Also available were additional Save It cards. The Save It cards were 32K in size. VIS had a number of titles available for it. As you can see from the catalog listing, there were quite a few. I have some interesting ones that we're going to be demonstrating here today. One of my favorites goes by the name of the Manhole. But we'll check out Manhole. It's actually completely innocent, but I don't know. Grown-up me looks at that and goes, tee. Specs for the VIS are pretty straightforward, and you're going to recognize them. It has an 80286 processor running at 12 megahertz. It's got a total of 1 megabyte of RAM in your standard 640K, 384K extended configuration. It has, as I noted, an infrared controller port. It has S-video, composite video, and RF video ports on it. It also has a PS2 port on the back. The CD-ROM drive is a proprietary Mitsumi drive using a Mitsumi interface. This is not a Mitsumi drive with an IDE interface. It is a proprietary Mitsumi drive, and it runs with a pretty slow access time. I want to say the total end-to-end access time, the total seek on that can push just under 1 second, and you'll hear it sometimes in titles. It is not fast. Paul Schreiber said in his Tandy assembly talk that it spins at 4x. I've not verified that, but of course with the slow seek time with the laser tracking, it's not going to be all that fast, and you can hear it. Beyond that, it shares the same YUV video DAC as the Tandy Sensation 1, the machine I mentioned earlier. As well, it has an empty expansion slot, proprietary, which also supports the modem card and an additional developer card. The modem card actually is the same one as used in the Tandy Sensation. As far as I know, that card was never offered in stores, and no Radio Shack supported software ever used it, at least nothing that consumers used. But it was pretty forward-looking. The VIS does not have an ISA bus. It is a local bus, so you do get performance gains from that. It is faster than its equivalent 80286 12 MHz PC. It's worth noting that Tandy often stated that it had the equivalent performance of a 386 SX25 when speaking with developers and the press about this machine. I'd say that's a bit much, of course, considering 16-bit software, but it is faster than a standard 286 given its local bus. What happened to the VIS? Well, November and December sales were paltry. January sales were negative. Or as it was put in a Usenet post, you would need a signed char to tabulate sales for these units. Now that's despite having at least 1 unit available for sale in almost every Radio Shack company-owned store around the country, of which there were somewhere around 6,000 at the time. So the VIS definitely did not do well. In fact, it did so badly that right around mid-January 1993, a stop order was issued and all production of the VIS stopped. Now, in looking at Frank Durda's Usenet posts, that led to half-empty units being pushed into the waste bin. And while this platform originally retailed for $699.95 in the original sales flyers, by the time it actually showed up in a catalog, the 1994 catalog, it was all the way down to $399.95. And it didn't appear at all in the 1995 catalog. These machines were wholesaled out to places like Tiger Direct, where you could find the system in 20 titles for $99.95, well into the mid to late 90s. So this machine, you've seen it in Tiger Direct. There were a bunch of bundles, and a lot of the ones I think that show up on eBay with a ton of titles probably came from Tiger Direct. Needless to say, the VIS did not do well, and when you see how it performs, you're going to see why that was. And if you look through Paul Schreiber's Tandy assembly talk, He covers a lot of this in a lot more detail and with a lot of institutional knowledge that I'm just not going to have. So check that out. You should definitely check it out. If you want to see his perception on how the VIS went and why it went that way and get some of it from the horse's mouth, so to speak, check out that video. Dink. Jump cut, new shirt, new day, same great content. Let's get back to the VIS, shall we? Okay, so I've been talking a whole lot about the VIS. You've heard me blathering on for minutes now. And I think it's about time we let the VIS demonstrate some of its software beyond it telling us all why it's so great. So I'm going to show you a few different titles. I'm going to show you the sampler disk. We're going to play a game on there, and we're going to talk a little bit about some of the sampler titles on there and some of the capabilities of the sampler disk that I don't know that were really used anywhere else. We're then going to move on to Just Grandma and Me, Sherlock Holmes, and finally, The Manhole. Because I know you can't wait to see The Manhole. I was very excited to get The Manhole. Okay, that was worn out before I started doing it. Let's get right to it. Let's pop in the sampler disk. All right, here we are at the VIS. I'm sorry about the angle, the camera behind me, my shoulder's in the way, and this room's not all that big, so whatever. You don't need to see me push the buttons or even operate the console. If you want to see that, picture the last scene where I did this in your mind, man. Remember all those buttons and discs. That is a very long reference, like far-reaching reference to a great comedy routine of the 1970s. Tell me if you know it. Okay, so I have here my wireless infrared hand controller. Don't know if you can see that or not. There we are. Little infrared eyes on the end of it. Has a switch on here for 1 player, 2 players, or solo. Well, it's just me. I'm not going to say that next line, but I have it set to solo. And here I've got my title sampler disk. This disk came with the VIS, in addition to the Compton's multimedia encyclopedia. So I'm going to remove this from its case, and we're just going to push the old open close button, pop her in the tray, and the VIS should start to read the disk. Now, you may not be able to see, but the table level is down probably a good 5 or 6 inches or better from my lap. So if I rest the controller down on my lap, as I'm prone to do when I'm playing games, it's not going to work because the console is up here on the table. All right, so first things first, I want to demonstrate this a bit. The VIS actually had the capability for certain licensees to present a menu that developers could use to give the customer the choice between which option they wanted, the software they wanted to run. Now, as far as I know, the only disk that made use of this functionality was the sampler disk. If there are any others, I don't have them in my collection. But I can take a look here, and the little birdie guy, I don't even know if he has a name. They used a Dorkosaurus, I'm going to call him that. Dorkosaurus here, we watched him yesterday, so, or for you, 6 minutes ago or so. But we're not going to go back into there because that just starts that demo. But if I pick any of the other ones of these with the D-pad, I can just push the A button on the controller and it goes into the menu. And I can push the A button again to go back. If I push any other button, nothing really happens. So let's take a look at other demos, and actually let's take a look at a game called Spacenuts. And as I understand it, this game was originally kind of developed as an in-house test for the platform and was released because it's fairly cool. This is actually probably one of the more fun games on the platform, and this is just an in-house Tandy developed thing. I also like the name Spacenuts. By the way, it's Thursday. Cheers, friends. What are you doing there, VIS? Do I have to push button? As you can tell, I've played this game before. I have my Save It card in there. And apparently so have others. It's not just a game, or is it? Press 3 to quit, press any other key to play. Arrow keys move the player, A fires. So, I have 1 human. Now the great thing about this is you can have a human, 2 humans, or a human and a robot. We're just going with 1 human. Now, it's actually kind of a fun game. And the graphics are kind of neat. Like, it's not the most complex game ever, and it's very reminiscent of a lot of shoot-'em-up style space arcade games from the 1980s. But it is, in fact, a fun game. Now, I had the sound down to try and avoid echo. I know I can kind of fix it in post, but given the disproportionate complaints I get on audio, I'm just going to say we'll just hope that the TV doesn't play through. Ooh. Okay, we're not doing too bad. Let's see if I can actually beat the first level. Ooh, oh, you can shoot the bullets, and I did. Ooh, and I keep you. No, I don't keep you, I miss you. CPU. But it's kind of a fun game, and the sound effects and music are kind of neat. Actually, the music's a little catchy here. I kind of wish I was hearing it. Oh, that's close. I mean, if it hits you, I think it just takes away your energy, so yes, it does, because I just got hit. I don't even know if there's instructions with this game. The owner's manual that comes with the console doesn't say anything, so unless there's anything anywhere else. Oh, come on, baby. Oh, almost didn't get him. And this, by the way, the distance at the top, that's the distance to the bad guy. So if I could ride it out without shooting these guys, I could probably... Ooh, that's bad. Now, you can't go up and down. I can just go left and right. So there's not really anywhere to go. Ooh, good, got out of his way. And as much as I realize you guys are yelling at the screen telling me how I suck, beat my score, I guess. Actually, you probably won't have a hard time with that. I suck at most games like this. And there's our little weird... Oh, wait, do I have a... Is there like a... No, there's not. I thought there was like a depth card, a charge of some sort or something I could use to blast this mofo out of the sky. Oh, there we go. I just did it myself. And there we go. We're moving on to the next zone. Pause is button 3. We're moving pretty fast. Oh, I just crashed into the side of the thing. But oh, you're allowed to bump it. Oh, it does take away your energy, though. A little bit. So, interesting little thing I didn't mention when I was talking about the specs for this, because I forgot. And rather than do it in post, I'll do it now. This machine is not Sound Blaster compatible. Just like the Tandy Sensation, its kind of cousin in arms, it supports Ad-Lib Gold Sound Standard. You know, the sound standard that went belly up right after Tandy used it in the Sensation and the VIS. True story, folks. The VIS actually does use Ad-Lib Gold. Now, the neat thing about it, as you'll see, is it's implemented in a pretty standard way, and also it's also implemented in a non-standard but very accessible way without software drivers. We'll see that. Well, ish. But I will mention and show you the documentation on that. How's that? For what it's worth, I've been playing with this thing since... I gotta stop playing this. Since, oh geez, late May. So everything that I'm kind of going to show you in the next 4 videos comes from that. And when I get done with this, which I mean is now, pause, can I get out or do I have to die? Let's see, 1, 2, 3, A, B, 4. If I pause it, nothing happens, I can't exit. Okay, how are we going to exit this game? Well, if you push the open close button on the VIS, it will restart. So that is what we're going to do. And if you heard that sound through my mic, that was the drive seeking. And no, the drive is not failing. That is Spacenuts. It's a fun game. As you just saw me kind of get stuck into playing it, I was jabbering along and enjoying playing it. So let's go back to our other demos and take a look. Now, let's take a look at another fairly popular title for this system, one I actually have but have not tried.
Tadpole Productions presents Rick Ribbit, Adventures in Early Learning. Frog. 3 sons. Brew.
And that's Rick Ribbit. Okay, what else do we have in previews? I mean, we can go through the entirety of the sampler disc except watching all of, you know, Dorkosaurus's videos. Ooh, this uses the other environment, friends. Okay, so we have learning, fun, and information. Let's go to learning, because that's the main thrust of the platform. Okay, up and down to make a selection, A for preview, B to return. Okay. Okay. Bake and taste, Easy Street, mixed up Mother Goose, playing with language, search for the sea, stepping stones, and wild animals. Okay. Mixed up Mother Goose.
Sierra has an educational odyssey for the youngest adventurers. It's Mixed Up Mother Goose, the award-winning multimedia game for pre-readers. Mother Goose's rhymes have been all mixed up, and only your child can put things right. An easy-to-use interface and talking characters make this adventure accessible to the youngest players.
You found him. You
All right, I have
found
to
my
turn this up a
little
little bit. I
dog.
can't hear
Thanks.
anything.
And delightful characters who actually talk and sing keep children captivated, motivated, and endlessly enchanted.
I mean, this title actually looks like it has some fairly decent graphics. Okay, that wasn't much of a demo. Okay, bake and taste. Because if you're going to bake it, you may as well taste it, friends. Is that just dim on the thing?
Bake and
yes, it is.
taste
Okay,
the yummy dessert.
for what it's worth, what
Pick
you're
a
seeing on the
recipe like
capture
elephant bait or monkey
is what I'm
munchie,
seeing on the screen.
Then mix, measure, and bake. Test your skills with MindPlay's team of
Interesting.
taste testers. These tasters are persnickety, but
I
don't
wonder if this
panic.
title showed
You've
up.
got Sheffy. He's your 21st century
Might be
robot.
kind of fun to
He'll do
play
all
with.
the manual stuff. You'll do the brain work. Pick a great recipe,
Huh.
follow directions carefully, and hey, they like
Okay,
it.
apparently they all loved it. All right, well, EcoQuest. We know EcoQuest. Oh, I see Inspector Gadget on there. We'll check that out too.
Learn about the fragile ocean ecosystem in EcoQuest,
graphics look
the
fairly
search
good.
for
EcoQuest.
Cetus from Sierra. Explore a sunken city and search for the lost king of the seas. Travel through undersea kingdoms and meet a cast of colorful, humorous, and ultimately enlightening characters. But not everything under the
I'm
sea
looking
is
at my
serene.
laptop, I'm just
Man-made
hoping
waste has mutated a denizen of the deep, and danger awaits beneath the waves. This is an adventure game where you
I
can
have
save
a
an
feeling,
entire
given
planet.
the really
Earth.
bad audio here, that either this is all coming out on the left channel. I'm betting that's what's happening. It's mono and it's all coming out on the left channel. I get a little on the right channel because the way this is hooked up, the left channel is over to my laptop, the right's on the TV. Okay. Ooh, King's Quest V, the missing game. We're totally going to look at that. First, Inspector Gadget.
Go, Gadget!
I used to love
Adventure.
Inspector Gadget as a kid.
Penny, Dr. Claw is at it again. Now he wants to ruin our environment.
Guide Penny
Look at
and
that
Brain
theme
through
on that.
exciting hair-raising adventures to save the world's ecology. You'll save Moscow from a nuclear meltdown.
I wonder if this one
Help
showed up.
Brain escape the dreaded Hong Kong dragon. Discover the secrets of Rio de Janeiro. Help Gadget, Penny, and Brain save the world from Dr. Claw.
I'll get you next time, Gadget.
Poor cat. Dr. Claw's cat. That poor cat got beat the hell up. Okay. King's Quest V, folks, the only screenshots we're ever going to see of a game that never got released.
Sierra
Well, that's
lets
from
you
the demo
explore
that Tandy did
exceptional
in the other,
adventures for the entire family. Like
Chicken
King's
Man thing.
Quest, absence makes
Or I
the
call him
heart go
Dorkosaurus.
yonder. From Roberta Williams, creator of the animated adventure game and the best-selling
Graphics and
authoress in
animation,
computer game history, comes this enchanted quest. The magical kingdom of Daventry is more exciting than ever on VIS. Filled with over 50 voice actors, a stirring stereo soundtrack, and spectacular sound effects.
You can talk?
Why, of course I can. What did you expect?
Discover why almost 1.5 million people
makes me wanna
have
play this game
purchased
on
a King's
PC.
Quest game and entered this
I have
wondrous
King's Quest
world.
3 for my Color Computer 3. Okay, well, there's the only live footage of that game we're ever going to see. Ooh, Space Quest. Okay, another Sierra game. So, I wonder if this one
Blast
even
off
shows
into
up in
spaced
any
out
of the,
sci-fi fun with Space Quest.
any of the
Roger
documentation or
Wilco
anything.
and the
King's
Time
Quest 3
Rippers.
does is a licensing
Are you Roger Wilco?
concern, but I don't know that Space Quest does.
Yeah. He's a man with a mission and a mop. Roger Wilco, sanitation engineer turned swashbuckler, stumbles through space, time, and a really big mall. Hot on his trail are the Sequel Police, a band of outer space stormtroopers who are out to make this Roger's last adventure. Roger has to
Well
look
then.
sharp and think quick, or the universe as we know
You know,
it
I didn't see
is
that coming, but
toast.
I'm not surprised. Finally, information. American Vista, which I may actually own. I'll have to look. I have a number of shrink-wrapped titles, friends. Atlas of Presidents, I know I have that one. Bible Lands, Bible Stories, I may have that one too. Healthy Cooking. Ooh, Better Homes and
From
Gardens.
Better Homes and Gardens, it's the Healthy Cooking CD Cookbook. From the publisher of America's best-selling cookbook comes a compilation of their best healthy recipes. Easy-to-use point-and-click buttons give you access to full recipe directions. See full-motion video of techniques. Calculate calories. Or find a recipe that suits your taste. healthy cooking from Better Homes and Gardens and Multicom.
Well, folks, I think we've seen enough of this. This is basically a teaser for what the VIS had to offer if you brought it home and put the sampler disc in. Now, of course, Compton's is on there too. I do not have a copy of Compton's, so, you know, that's that. But let's take a look at the next title in the list. Let's take a look at Just Grandma and Me, which, quite frankly, is actually one of the better platform titles for this thing. It is actually pretty decent. It's very edutainment, and one of the themes you'll see for titles for this platform is someone would develop an engine, particularly for a storybook or some other kids thing, and then they would go and reuse that engine for different content over and over and over again. I mean, like you do. But, oh yeah, I should show you this. VIS titles don't open from the top, as I just did. They kind of open from the front here. Disc is in the front there. So, I'll just pull that out. This is the box to Just Grandma and Me. I'm going to place it, comes in a jewel case within the box, right into the CD tray. And let's see what we have here. Probably won't go through the whole story. There we go, Authorized Video Information System title. We'll talk about that in the next video. I forgot this was one of those titles.
Just Grandma and Me by Mercer Mayer.
All right, I'm going to turn this up to try and hear a little bit of it. Push the A button.
Hi,
that's
I'm
too loud.
Little Critter. Welcome to Living Books. To have the story read to you, press this button. To play inside the story, press this button.
All right, I'm going to let me play. So the way this works, I push the button on the controller here, and the pointer just moves. It doesn't snap. So it's literally like a mouse. And the shape of the arrow should give away exactly what's happening under the covers here. Push the A button, and hopefully the audio isn't too echoey. I'll try and take that out in post, but I'm going to apologize now. But I need to be able to hear this.
We went to the beach, just Grandma and me.
Now I have to go down to the arrow.
Here we go. I wanted to set up the beach umbrella, but the wind was too strong. Whoa! It's windy today.
We call that learning. Okay, now I should... There we go, there's my pointer. It was stuck over on the arrow. Now I should be able to point to things and make them do stuff. Yeah, okay, so doggy blows whistle. Lifeguard. He just squawks. She, it. What's a starfish do? Ha! Okay, that's kind of funny. What do you do in the background? Buried in the sand there. So as you can see, I mean, you've got kind of your interactive titles. You click on things, especially for smaller children. You get smaller animations. You learn what something is. Oh, there's a turtle there. Cool. Does a shovel do anything? Oh, it does shovel. Okay. Oh, what about Mr. Grumpy Face over here?
Beautiful day, isn't it?
Okay. Just looks grumpy. Not really. All right, one more of these slides and we'll move on. But this is pretty... Ooh, wait. Oh, he disappeared. So interestingly enough, I just lost control because once the guy came up, the animation took over and the cursor disappeared. But still, one of the better titles for the platform.
I flew my kite instead.
And here's my arrow again. Ooh, what do we have here?
Ouch!
What does this guy do? Nothing? Oh, there he goes. Okay, we got a skunk with a ball back here. He apparently sucks at it. How about this angry cow? Sounds about right. That'd be me. And that'd also be me. Now, one of the neat things about this is it does, in fact, have multiple languages, one of which is Japanese, which I did turn on once. Sounds kind of fun. But it is actually one of the more graphical, colorful, and fun titles, more responsive titles for this platform. And honestly, as a non-notification infested children's app, I'd rather have a kid looking at this than I would, you know, something like a phone with notifications on it. It's certainly a lot more linear and attention-grabbing in how it's presented. That's just a function of the times, my friends. We're not doing social commentary here. That's just Grandma and me. So, I promised next we would look at Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective. All right, so again, front opens up. Got our disc in here. The cardboard's all collapsed, but then we've got a jewel case in there. So let's... Oh, we've got... Now this one's interesting. As it loads, it has a nice little newspaper-like insert called The Times from June 10, 1890, or so it purports. And there's actually a whole bunch on this side. It actually looks more newspaper official that you're supposed to read and use for clues. I've played this a little bit. The interface is pretty good. It's pretty reminiscent of DOS games of its kind back in the day, but it's also a fairly decent title on this thing. Can I bypass? Yes, I can. Now, you can use the Save It card to save if you need to. I don't know if I have a file on the Save It card. I do not. Okay.
London is not a beautiful city. Under the soot that covers its buildings is a teeming mass of 4 million souls trying to survive, mostly off of each other. You see it in the paper every day. Thankfully, we have the London Times to keep us informed of all these troubling activities with an unbiased eye and razor-sharp accuracy. We find this publication to be of invaluable assistance in our investigations, and I'm sure you will as well. Among the forces of evil which run rampant in this city, there are also, thankfully, two groups of individuals who will aid us in our cause. As we do, they attempt to right wrongs and restore harmony and civility to the streets of London. The first of these groups is a ragtag association of young ruffians. I call them the Baker Street Irregulars. Don't let them fool you. They may be scruffy and ill-bred, but they are on the right side of the law. They can go everywhere, see everything, and overhear everyone. They are my eyes and ears in the streets of London, unquestionably a tremendous asset in our work. They will help us in our investigations if they can. The other group is a far more civilized collection of gentlemen and institutions. I call them the Baker Street Regulars. They, too, will be extremely useful in our work. At the start of any investigation, do keep in mind that it is a capital mistake to theorize before one has data. Unwittingly, one begins to twist facts to suit theories instead of theories to suit facts. The people and places to whom I will now introduce you will help us to collect the facts. May we use them wisely. Come, the game's afoot.
Alrighty then. I don't want to watch that again. And now, of course, I can choose the person to whom I'd like to be introduced. We're just going to pick one of these guys or gals.
Edward Hall is a young barrister whom you will find on most days at the Old Bailey. He's a cut above the other unimaginative members of his profession.
Holmes, don't you think you should explain to them the difference between a barrister and a solicitor?
Yes, of course, Watson. A solicitor handles the routine legal business of our society. If you do not have to go before a court, you will have no need for a barrister. If you must go before a court, then your solicitor would engage the services of a barrister.
Do we have anything about the police?
Ah, Scotland Yard. If the Yard knew how to examine evidence with any skill, there would be no need for our services. Inspector Lestrade is the pick of a bad lot. But it is true they may be a source of valuable information. After all, the professional police have methods for gathering facts that are not open to us.
Now, clearly, I'm not going to sit here and work through all these. But Sherlock Holmes is neat because it does actually use some small full-motion video. And this was pretty typical of multimedia titles at the time. So, honestly, considering that that FMV-style video was playing, probably an AVI file, on a 286 12 megahertz with no hard drive or cache, pretty impressive, honestly. It's a pretty neat feat. And this game's actually pretty fun. I've played it a little bit, but I'm not very good at it and haven't put all that much time in. I got kind of distracted learning how the platform works. But again, we have the London Times, as I noted, and we have a whole lot of other great info. Now, the interesting thing about this title is it is a 12+ title. So, if I can fix the cardboard here. The front of the box clearly indicates that it is 12+. So, it's one of the few VIS titles that really is kind of aimed at older ages. The majority of the titles that I have for this platform are definitely preschool to early middle school, I'd say. I mean, we call it middle school now. Back in my day, you know, I'm thinking like preschool through about 3rd or 4th grade. And there's a lot more for early education. I feel like it's kind of skewed toward that. Now, some interesting titles for this platform. Well, I'm finally picking up The Manhole. Scary Poems for Rotten Kids. That's a real title. Manhole is a favorite. And my favorite, Moving Gives Me a Stomachache. That's a title on this. It's shrink wrapped, or I'd put it in, but I'm not unshrink wrapping it just yet. Okay, so let us dive into The Manhole. This is an Activision title, by the way, so lest you think larger known licensees of platforms even more recently, systems, you know, game systems didn't develop for this. Activision had titles for it. Broderbund did, Sierra did. There were a fair number of bigger houses, actually, that did produce software for this thing. I think this is the first one to give us the hourglass. And now the finger. The Manhole. New and enhanced. I'm not sure what the enhancements are for this, or if that's just a, hey, we moved it over here for you. More hourglass. That was the drive. There we go. Oof. Sound of that drive just... Okay, so now I'm to poke on things here. Let's poke the fire hydrant. All right, we're gonna open this. Oof. I don't know if the mic picked that up, but... So this title does a good job of demonstrating that it is kind of on the end of VIS's limits in terms of what it is you can do. Okay, let's go over to the castle. See this little guy over here? I have a dragon. I think if I hit that again, I get my dragon again. Ah, there we go. I must have hit next to it. Okay, so like Myst and other games, hit the door, pushing the A button on the controller. I should have said that. Let's go in. Let's go up the stairs. Let's go in that door. So very much a Myst style, but more simplistic. Obviously, I think Manhole predates Myst by a stretch. I mean, this Myst was what, 94? 3, 4? This game showed up in VIS in 92, and this is the new enhanced version, so it probably would have been earlier.
I love to sleep while standing on one leg.
Okay. Is that the can't click this? Okay, that's, yeah, that's can't touch this. Do you have something else to say, weird bird thing? Nope. Okay, wow. Down we go. I take the torch. Nope. Oh, it just took me upstairs. Shucks, can I go back down? Yes, I can. Okay. Never played this before. Except to get this far. Here, let's go over here. Can we? Hey, we can. Oh, what have we here? Nothing. Now, granted, I've not read the instructions of this, but this game is definitely a good, kind of a good harbinger for the limits of this thing. It actually does it fairly well. The drive, I don't know if you heard it on the mic, really struggled to seek through some of this, but it is playable by today's standards. I can imagine some of you are looking at this like, why the hell would anybody want to do this back then? Well, A, if you were a kid and this is what your parents bought and dumped a whole lot more money than a Super Nintendo and a Genesis and a bunch of games on, then you play what you got, I guess. But also, the games are interesting if you can get past waiting. And back in the day, quite frankly, the multimedia experience in 1992, 3, 4 wasn't always the best. A lot of us had low-end computers, and even if you had a CD-ROM drive and a decent graphics or sound card, you were still crawling at the speed of 1x, baby. Like, that's kind of how multimedia was back then. It's jarring to look back on now, but back then, I probably wouldn't even be quite as critical because it was pretty normal for PCs at the time. I didn't even have a multimedia PC when this thing came out. I didn't even have a PC. Fun fact. And that's a look at the titles on the VIS, or at least a very small subset of them. But I think it's a pretty good representative sample of the titles that use different software environments on VIS, some of the different functionality, like the menu, like I talked about, but also kind of some of the capabilities of the VIS and some of its limits, some of its strengths, some of its weaknesses. I think you got a pretty good idea, without me necessarily saying it, where the thing did and didn't kind of hold its own. That said, there are a fair number of good titles. There are a number I wanted to show you that didn't, such as, Peter and the Wolf, as narrated by Jack Lemmon, as a great title. The interface is a little boring, but honestly, Jack Lemmon's reading of it is pretty good, and it has all the music in there. But I really don't need a copyright strike from the copyright police. So they're rather unforgiving these days. And there's no way I could let that run without tempting fate. So that's one. But if you would like a more in-depth dive into titles in this thing after I've gotten through this series, let me know. I could always work through some titles, give them a little more time, play through them a little more. And quite frankly, if, like Dua Lipa, IDGAF is what you're saying to me, then I won't bother with it. I'm not big on just playing games on this channel, y'all know that. But if you want to see it here, I'll take one for the team. So what's next? Well, this is part 1, we're all set with that, so let's take a look at part 2. Part 2 is going to be talking about the development hardware available for the VIS, the system's overall platform architecture. We're going to talk about what platform it's like and how it is and isn't like that platform. And finally, we're going to take a look at licensing. We're going to take an in-depth look at how Tandy licensed titles for this platform, how the licensing is handled, how to generate license files for it, and how Tandy managed licenses in-house. So we have a whole lot to cover, and that's just part 2. So until part 2 drops, thanks so much for watching. It was great having you with me, and I hope you're looking forward to the next series in Exploring 513, a look at the VIS.